Hey, what's up guys? This is 3D Bonfire back with an amazing tutorial. And I think this time we talk about fluid FX in Cinema 4D with the help of X particles. We are going to keep it really simple. So this is absolute beginner stuff in my opinion. And yeah, that's just to make it more accessible, and fluids doesn't have to be complicated, right? So we will do something like this, or for example, something like that. This is just another camera angle with some beer shading here. So beautiful stuff. I really like the curls and the motion in it. I have to admit I learned this at Insidium in the maintenance training. So right now I study these files and lots of good stuff there to learn. But of course I will give it my own twist. So yes, we will do something beautiful. And I think I will choose the number 12 to fill with liquid because right now I just read 12K. Thank you so much, guys. This is just amazing. And yeah, so let's have some fun. Maybe before we start in Cinema 4D, here are just again some renderings. So you can see we are going to use our particles, render them as spheres, and then it just looks like little bubbles in it. So this is one part of the magic trick here. So yes, let's see what else we have here. I just looked at my old fluid rendering, so this is already 1.5 years ago, I think so. But maybe I will also tell you how to do this stuff. Actually, it's all the time, it's the same. So this is some fluid, but it is combined with foam particles, and they are rendered as little spheres. And when you mix it together, you achieve something that looks reasonably complex. All right, here's another rendering. So this is already quite old, and you can see this one is without the foam particles on top of it. So this is just fluid in comparison to something like this. So yeah, I also did it with some gold or caramel. Maybe I will also show you how to do this one. So, I mean, the technique behind is always the same. It's just a fluid body and some foam on top of it. So then you will achieve beautiful complexity. But of course, you can give it other colors. So this is looking also quite cool. Or let's see. Of course, you can do it without the foam. So here you can see this is just the fluid body, and this also looks beautiful. All right, so enough of the talking here. Let's go straight into Cinema 4D and make something beautiful. All right, guys, one last thing before we start. So if you even need more of the good stuff, I can provide this on Patreon. So 3D Bonfire is also there, and there you will get bonus and extra tutorials, assets, textures, everything that I do on a daily basis as 3D artist. All right, so you ask yourself, what will you get? For example, let's scroll down. So you will get textures, you will get my assets. I talk about my future tutorial plans. For example, you will get courses like soft body training part 1 and part 2. No, it's the other way around. You will get assets, you will get scene files, and even more scene files. We can also talk about future tutorials, so maybe this will be interesting for you. You will get additional training, even courses on cinematic lighting techniques, and assets, and man, lots of good stuff there, okay? So yes, consider to become a Patreon, and now let's get started with the scene. All right, guys, finally we are in Cinema 4D, nice and fresh here, beautiful, up for a good start. So how about we grab something like a text object? Okay, so I said I want to fill up the number 12. Which basically will be 2 simulations, since you need an emitter in both of these enclosed bodies, then fill it up. So we can decide for the tutorial now, maybe we just go with the 2 because it has a more beautiful shape. And I would say, let's see, let's grab a more interesting letter. I never used this typeface, but I think the curves and stuff is really beautiful in this one. Maybe I just want to see how the M is looking. Oh, this is beautiful. Let's see. How is the big one looking? Okay, that's also great. And I think maybe we just freestyle here. So I wanted to go with the 12, but I have to say, this letter has a really beautiful shape, and I just want to see how this is filling up and then it splashes down. splashes down, and this could be a beautiful animation. Let's take this letter, and I think we need, do we need more space here? No, actually we don't want so much space there, because this means just more particles and longer calculation time, so maybe we just even make it thinner, something like that. Alright, so this is looking good for me, but since we want to work with particles and collisions, I think we need better subdivisions there. So we switch this one to subdivided, and it doesn't have to be totally irregular, so this is good enough for me. And I guess we go to the caps and go to a regular grid and do something reasonable here. So I just try to match the scale. Yes, I think 6 is enough. And I think we don't really have to worry about ugliness like this. I think the system will still work for us. So now, since we don't want to have so much visual clutter in our scene, I would say we go to render tags, put a display tag on it, switch this one to something like lines, so we can watch the inside. Since we want to simulate inside the letter, this could be really helpful. And put it to isopalms, so we get rid of all the unnecessary lines. Alright, so next we would need particles and collisions. And I think just for me visually, I just put a disk beneath it, so I have something for the eye. Okay, give it a couple of more divisions. Alright, so okay, how about an emitter? Okay, align it in the center. Okay, make it smaller and put it here. So just watch out that it is inside of the volume of your letter or whatever shape you would choose. And I just like the spherical emission. I think this will work beautiful in the scene. Just make sure it is inside of it. Make it a little bit smaller, something like that. All right, so we have particles, but they don't collide with our object. Therefore, we just make a right click here, go to the xParticles tags and grab a collider tag. And I think this will still not work, because when you go to the normals, you have to switch it to inside, so calculations will be inside of the letter. Beautiful. Okay. Next problem is, you can see a visible margin here. Okay. And this has to do with the particle radius. When you go to emissions, you can see the radius of our particles is 3 centimeters. And basically these are these 3 centimeters which you can see as a margin. Go to the display and let's watch these particles as circles. Now you believe me, right? So you can see calculations are really exact here, but our particles are just a little bit too big. So I would say we go to emission and maybe we just reduce it by half. All right, so I think we can go a bit lower. Of course, for your rendering, you can really crank this number, so I don't know, something like this, or even less. But since this is a tutorial and I need a fast system here, I will go with something bigger. Okay. Alright, so far so good, but the behavior of the particles, this is not beautiful. So how about to hold down Shift C and grab some fluid FX. Alright, put it into your scene, and I think already this has a more fluid behavior. But something is missing, so how about gravity? Grab the xParticles gravity here. This is quite a big logo icon, so you can see. Okay, so we have gravity and fluid FX behavior. So this is already a good start, or more than a start already. So how about, I think we need more particles. This would take forever to fill it up, right? So how about 3000 particles? All right, and to be honest, for the tutorial, I just make the radius bigger. I don't have a powerful CPU, so the calculation time is too slow for me. But of course, you can use better numbers there. So Now this is filling up. All right. And I just put more particles in it. How about 4000? And I just go a bit higher here also. So it doesn't take forever to fill it up. Okay. Yes, beautiful. I mean, it's not so impressive, to be honest. How about we mix some turbulence in it? Okay. Hold down Shift, C, and grab a turbulence. All right. So I will just play with these values just to see the effect. I go crazy here. Okay. So you can see the scaling of my turbulence field is way too big. So how about to reduce it to a quarter? Looks better. I think this could be something like 20, and the strength, let's try it with 100. All right, this is too much. Put it to 50. Yes, maybe this is working. I think we can also reduce this to something like 13. Okay, so this will give it a little bit more of turbulence behavior here. And in your rendering, this will be more amazing because you can use more particles and more and less radius, so you can see more of the curl. So maybe I should also put this one to 5000 and go down to 1.4. So we have a little bit more of the turbulence here. Okay. Yes, this is looking nice. And I guess the simulation will also be faster when I go to the display and put this one back to dots. So just my viewport will be faster. All right, so this is a good start. Okay, I mean, this is already working, but we can even improve the behavior of our particles. So when we go to the extended data, let's play with these fluid data values here. And I think we will make it less cohesive. So maybe try something like 8 in the viscosity. And we also reduce the surface tension, so we get a little bit more free forms and more splashes. Also, vorticity, this works like a fake turbulence, so we increase the small one and the large one. Okay guys, so far so good, but I think we need one more ingredient to the recipe, and I would say this would be something like foam, okay? So grab a foam effector, and then you need to create a foam emitter. So I just call this one foam. Sorry, so this is my foam emitter. And these numbers, they are not so helpful because he is after age 60. So we want to have our particles right from the start. And there you go. So the foam is white in this case. So I guess we just want to color code this one red so we can just see it a little bit better. Okay, maybe in visibility I get rid of my main emitter. And now you can see we have additional foam particles. Alright, maybe you have the feeling like you need more or less foam particles. Of course, there is a way to do it. Let me just quickly think about it. So you go to your emitter foam, go to display and HUD. Now you can see how many particles you have alive. And you can see, let's go to frame 20. I have this number, 1300. Okay. How we can reduce it? It's easy. You can easily get rid of the air rate. Let me just quickly check it. Go back to 20, and you can see we have still the same amount of particles. Now we only need to focus on the crest rate. And the crest rate, most relevant parameters would be the min crest and the max crest. Now the max crest is at 50. Let me show you what happens when I put it up to 60. Go to 20, and you can see less particles. Let's go up to 70. All right, even more reduced particles. So easily you could play with these parameters to get more or less particles. But I was totally satisfied with the 1400, 300. Okay, so this is a good number for me. All right, so I just activate my emitter again, and once again I check my simulation. Okay, so I think this will take way too much time to fill it up, and we want to have a little bit more impact there. So how about I go up to 9000, not 90,000. 9,000. Okay, this is better. And I think the turbulence could also be stronger and a bit bigger in scale. This is working for me, but now I can see a little error, so just deactivate this one. You can see the radius of our foam particles is way too big. You just go onto your emitter foam, check the radius there and reduce this one to 1. Now you can see the collisions are super accurate. I mean, you could also go to 0.5 or even lower, but this is precise enough. All right, and if you look closely, I can see another error. So I don't know if you can see it, but some of my foam particles go through the wall here. And this is not helpful. So you can see I lose a couple of points there and here. So we need to fix this. Therefore, we need something like a kill object, okay? And what would we use for a kill object? I would say the most sense makes to just duplicate this one, maybe get rid of the tags, and I would say we just press C and we have something. Whoa. All right, let me just put it maybe into a connect and then press C. So this would be our collider. No, sorry, I would call it kill object. Okay, perfect. Now we go to our kill effector. Yes, let me try this one. So volume objects, and then we drag our kill object in it. Okay, and I think this one just means it will kill everything inside of it. So make this one invisible. Let me see. Okay, so this is not working. This is not working. But when we kill everything outside of the object, now we have a perfect simulation. All right, I just let my simulation play up to frame 77, and now I can see maybe I have a little bit too much foam. So I just go back to my foam emitter and I just increase the max crest to something like 60. And I will check my simulation once again. By the way, I was also going here to the display and I changed it to circles so I can see my foam particles just a little bit better. Alright guys, I just gave my simulation 66 frames and obviously my system is getting really slow already. So it depends on your CPU, on your power of your machine, but for me it is time to cache my scene. And therefore you just grab a cache object. Of course, you will also find it in your Xparticles drop-down menu. It's here. So Xparticles cache. We want to cache it to an external file, and you just select a folder and then you build your cache. Alright, so this is pretty simple. Let's just do it. Alright guys, so the cache is ready, and to be honest with you, I changed my simulation just a little bit. So I put my emitter more down here and I duplicated it and put another one here. So you can see I just fill it up from both sides and then I want to mix it here. Also, I changed the turbulence a little bit and also I gave it a couple of more particles and less radius just to make it more dense in the resolution. All right. And here I already did a preview and you can see yes, so my settings, they are a little bit wild. So you can see it's pushing and pushing and pushing here. Somehow this is, man, I think, so I don't think it's really bad. I just think when I would cache it again, I would reduce the simulation, the turbulence just a little bit, because this is, wow, I mean, okay, so the more I look at it, the more I like it. Obviously, my result on Instagram, this was way more fluid, not so hectical. So it's just another simulation with less turbulence, and also this one is also way more soft. But it just depends on your numbers, what simulation you will get out of it. Okay, so we have particles, but now we need a volume body like here. And how to mesh it? And to make it just look beautiful, I will show you next. Alright, so let's mesh these particles. And therefore, I hold down Shift C. This is what I need. Okay, perfect. And I think we can just grab both of our emitters and put it in there. Okay, so temporarily I just get rid of my foam particles in the visibility. And now we meshed our particles. Obviously, this is not dense enough from the resolution, so go into your mesher, and these two numbers, they work in conjunction. So maybe first I will reduce this one and give it more resolution. And now I reduce the point radius, go down even further. So when it breaks, you have to reduce the voxel size. Go down to 1. Yes, okay. And give this 1.5. Okay, let's see. Can I go lower? Yes. We don't really need to go super low, so I can put this number back up again. And I think, well, something like this is already working for me. So this doesn't need to be perfect. Of course, you can go lower with these numbers to get more precision, but I just go to the filters, get rid of the median and put a Gaussian in it. And maybe I give it 2 iterations. Yes, I think in my case this is already good enough. Okay, so give me a couple of frames here. I can see a little arrow here, so from time to time, out of nowhere, parts of our mesh will will appear. So I guess we just go down with the point radius and try something like this. That's better. Okay. Now, let's see. Now we want to make it beautiful. Okay guys, so I just quickly fired up Octane and put a plane into my scene, nothing else. So you can see this is my rendering, okay. And right now I still have in the environment a basic white background, so just put this one to black. Okay, and what we need to make our scene a little bit more beautiful, how about an HDRI? Alright, so you can see I just selected this one, Artist Workshop 8K. You can find it on HDRI Haven. Okay, it's free, so let me just quickly rotate the light a little bit. So maybe it is coming from the side. Let me see. Something like this. I'm not sure. Or yeah, so we just keep it simple here. I will increase my gamma a little bit and my power also just a little bit. Okay, so how about grabbing an Octane camera? Okay, I just give it a big focal length here. So this is just my thing. And I would say we go to the camera imager, enable it, and give me some highlight compression, just that the image is not so blown out. Okay, that's beautiful. And I would also say this would be our fixed camera. So why don't we put a protection tag on it? Okay. Now I just get rid of my camera. I get out of my camera, sorry. And maybe I just put a cube back here, make it bigger. Just we have a back wall or something like that. I'm not sure if we even need it. Okay, so let's think about materials. And before we just build it, why don't we just use this time to open live database, wait for it to fire up. Okay, that's great. And now, okay, so this is the live database, and why don't we just go to liquids? All right, okay, and here are some pre-made liquids. So how about a beer shader? Download this one. And maybe one more. So let's just try this red wine. Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. Let me see how the beer is looking. Yes, so I think this is already good enough for me, so I don't even need the red wine shader here. Okay, beautiful. So let's go back to a frame where the liquid is building up. Somewhere here, not sure. Okay, maybe I just build one single material here, put it on the floor, and I just say in the diffuse, I just go to the surfaces and give it some tile shader. Alright, this looks super ugly, but let's give it some better numbers here. Give me some gray value, pick this one and pick this one. Perfect. And I would say the global scale, we just reduce it to something around 20. Also, go to your settings. We can also just give it some better numbers here for the rendering. Go to settings, Cinema 4D shaders, and give it something like 4K. Okay, perfect. So now I would say should look better. So maybe we put it to 20, put it to 5. Okay, put it to 2. Just we have something in the scene. Okay, put it also on the cube here. I would say this could be a little bit bigger. Okay. Do I like it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I like this one. Give me a better angle with the light. Give me more power. Give me less power. Change the gamma a bit. How is this looking? Yeah, maybe something like this. So it's just a little bit more interesting. Of course, you can spend way more time there, but you can see we catch some nice reflections and yes, this looks interesting. Okay, so far so good. So how about some rendered bubbles? Okay, so therefore I would say we just grab a sphere. We call this one particle and I just hide it from the scene, go down with the radius, and I would say we go to our foam. Where is it? Give it some octane render tag. I think I need to put it on the emitter, sorry. And now there should be something like particle rendering. Perfect. Go to geometry and just drag the sphere in. Okay, interesting. Let me think about it. So I think these ones, they are just too big. Make them smaller. Make them maybe something like that. Okay. Okay. I give it some specular material. Okay. And I guess I just give it some transmission. Just make it a little bit colored. Okay, that's better. And I give it some roughness. Okay, maybe something like this. Okay, I just rotated my HDR a little bit. Of course, you can make a more elaborate lighting setting if you have the time for it. So, but I think this is a little bit more interesting. Maybe I just put my cube there. And let's see how this is looking. Let's see. No. Maybe I don't really need that cube. Maybe I just put it, I'm sorry, I just put it here. Okay, so this is not really necessary. Yes, just think about how you want to build your scene. So really basic stuff there. I think the light is a little bit more beautiful. And I just quickly push this one even further. Okay. Maybe we can also activate our camera again. Okay. Go to our camera, go into it. And how about some depth of field? So I don't know if it is necessary, but give me some aperture. Go to the focus picker and select these points. Yes, maybe something like that. Okay, so give it less of depth of field. Okay, great. So more or less, this is the technique I used for my simulation. To be honest with you guys, the distribution of the foam particles in this case is not so beautiful as in this result here. Obviously, I just spent more time there, give it more of a beautiful turbulence, and it just worked a little bit more beautiful. Here is a nice metal framing around it, so if you want to know how to do that, I just quickly can show you. So grab your text, make it visible, get rid of these tags, and where is it? I just quickly need to remember it. It's an atom array, okay? So put it there, make something like this. Okay, so let me just quickly fix this. Already this is an interesting look here, but I think we just adjust these settings a little bit. So we will get rid of the caps, put this to an n-gon. Okay, perfect. And I think we go back to adaptive. Make the spheres 1. Okay, make this one maybe something like this. Okay, I think we could go to the caps. Let's see, triangles. Oh, nice. Oh, you can see. So this is interesting. And I think I reduce the size here, put it to something low. And then I think I just put some glossy material on it. Let me go there. I think I make this one really shiny, almost metallic. Give it some dark color and some roughness. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's already on it. Okay, so more or less this is what I did in the rendering. Alright guys, I just removed the wall here, and maybe you are asking yourself how I did this beautiful grass. So if you also want to know that, I will show you. So I used some assets from the Quixel bridge. It's from Megascans, and I think it was just the grass clumps. Of course, you can use whichever assets you prefer. So yeah, I think maybe this one will also be beautiful. Maybe I go with this one. So I just export it. It goes straight to Cinema 4D, and when I open Cinema 4D, I hope there will be my assets. Beautiful. Okay, so I just quickly distribute them here. So let's see. Okay, so here are my plants back there, and maybe we just, let me see, maybe we just put another cube here, go there, and make something like this. I'm not sure. Grab the top poly, press the I button for inner extrude, press D to go down. Okay, and maybe we just select this plane, UP, to cut it. So this is a single object, okay. And how about we just put some plants in there? So I grab the octane scatter, I put my plants in there, okay. And I just say, where is it? In the distribution, I say surface, and then I take this one. Okay, beautiful. And I think these ones, they are just a bit too big. Let's reduce them to half of the size. Okay, so this is not really beautiful, but yeah, I mean, it's working. Maybe one last step here. Let's use some random effector, put it inside the effectors. Okay, and just don't give it position randomness, but in the scaling, and go for somewhere you like this. Okay, so more or less I'm satisfied here. In the amount of time we achieved at least something. Alright guys, this is it, the end. But it doesn't have to be the end, so maybe you can think about subscribing to the channel, just ring the bell, and then we can see in the next tutorial. That would be just awesome. So now have fun with the technique and see you next time. Goodbye.